The creative, embracing life without limitations. Do you find yourself searching for answers and being driven by the need to understand the world and the people around you, and to be understood in return? If so, you may be the creative, the deep-sea diver, also known as the oracle. People are drawn to the warmth and compassion of the creative. When at your best, people find your reflective and intuitive soul appealing. You stand out from the crowd because you are different and gifted with so many expressive and creative abilities. You have an acute sensitivity and ability to translate beauty. You're a visionary, transforming anything you touch into something quite extraordinary. You find it easy to express your passion through the arts, dance, and poetic expression. Your intuitive energy calls out to people. As a creative, you weave words of imagination, emotion, passion, dreams, and hope. But there is another side to the creative character. In shadow, you may find yourself in a state of envy, feeling depressed or tearful. The world and all of its sorrow touches you deeply. And if you make the wrong choices, you can become overwhelmed with guilt, especially if your actions have hurt others. The creative can become self-absorbed, stubborn and withdrawn. As a deep-sea diver, you can feel dark moods of emptiness and despair. And when feelings of self-hatred and shame set in, you can start believing that you are not worthy of love. I'd like to share a story with you about Cole, a former musician. He'd given up on his dream because he felt it was more important to do the right thing in life and lay down his guitar, becoming the responsible adult. This meant he embarked on a career in the city. I think you'll agree with me that this story illustrates how a creative must be true to their core needs and how limitations and false expectations can affect them and those around them. Cole found love and came to the decision that living a nomadic and reckless lifestyle was not the way forward. Even though he loved the feeling of being on the road and traveling to new towns to perform, he experienced a desire to settle down and to finally put down some roots, lay solid foundations for the future together. Music had been his only love, so he had no idea of the type of job he should pursue. What he did know was that they needed a place to live, and guilt drove him to find a steady job that paid well, so he could contribute financially and support Hannah, his wife, who worked long hours as a nurse. Her father was an MD of a large financial firm and helped Cole find his way into a suitable role within the organization. At first, he embraced the role, lying to himself about how much he hated being stuck inside an office all day. Cole had never been very good with money, and now he found himself in a role where he was partially responsible for the investments of others, which just didn't feel right. He woke each morning terrified at what lay ahead of him at the office, living in fear of what mistakes he may have made or might in fact make. His office was on the 10th floor and surrounded by ugly buildings. There was nothing to satisfy the artist within. It wasn't long before his wife Hannah gave birth to their first child. Cole made that mean that he had to dig deep and strive to find some satisfaction in the job he was doing. The longing deepened for what he thought he could not have. The weeks, months, and years slipped by. His wife had given birth to another child, and instead of feeling the joy of his newborn, he began to feel more and more trapped, equally resentful and guilt-ridden. Yes, he loved them all, but could not shake the feeling of being bound by shackles. One day, by chance, Cole met a fellow musician who invited him to jam. It was here that he realised he'd not been living a life at all, but merely existing as a shadow of his former self. Music is a poetry of sounds. It speaks to the soul and fills the mind with creativity. The sounds, the tones, and the melodies he felt deep inside. He made the decision that he would stop being the lamp on the hill and embrace his burning desire to be creative again, making a new pact with destiny. Cole and his friend met regularly, playing at local bars on weekends, but he still felt guilty. The more he indulged in his passion of music, the less he saw of his family. This eventually led him to falling into a state of depression. He was desperate to go back to what he loved most in life, but couldn't bear the hurt it was causing in his family life. He became introverted and saddened by his life, and their relationship began to be tested. One day, while on a lunch break, Cole was walking along the street when he noticed the name of an old friend and mentor on signage in an office block nearby. He was pleased to see that his mentor had started his own business in coaching and mentoring in the arts. Cole rekindled the mentorship, and after just a few sessions, he discovered that it wasn't his family he resented for holding him back. He resented his decision to give up music and to go into a career for the sake of it. He sat down with his wife and explained his feelings. She was relieved and happy that he'd come up with a solution where he could enjoy both his passion of music and live a contented life with his family. She supported and encouraged him all the way. Cole was able to give up work and look after the children during the day while Hannah was at work, and that gave him the opportunity to set up his music business. He also began to work as an agent for other musicians. He secured gigs at local venues for them and for him. He also began teaching music and found it immensely satisfying. The new business model was very successful and financially sound because of his perseverance, determination, and originality. So the solution had actually been far simpler than he'd ever imagined possible. Life for Cole is suddenly exciting and filled with activity, and when with him, you can see the dream reflecting in his eyes. Some people choose to remain stuck in their roles and in their lives and can't find true happiness. Open communication is always best and enables people to find common ground and solutions. It's very fulfilling when you truly understand your personality traits and realize you must satisfy your core needs. This is where pure freedom is found. It's time to stop ignoring these deep feelings and live the life you were born to live.